Hi, good morning, good evening, and happy night wherever you are. So, welcome to day six, and we continue with our reading. Last time we read about how people fabricate anger, and today we will read. It's a very interesting chapter, and today we will read about just a second, how to live without being controlled by the past. So, last time we ended where Um, I'll just read before what we just for few sentences from the last time's chapter. The youth says, so anger is a means to achieve a goal. The philosopher says that is what teleology says. Youth, I see now. Under the gentle looking mask you wear, you're terribly nihilistic. Whether we are talking about anger or my reclusive friend, all your insides are stuffed with feelings of distrust for human beings. So the youth gets a sort of a little agitated on that idea. So the philosopher asks, how am I being nihilistic? The youth, think about it. Simply put, you deny human emotion. You say that emotions are nothing more than tools, that they are just the means for achieving goals. But listen, if you deny emotion, you're upholding a view that tries to deny our humanity too, because it's our emotions and the fact that we are swayed by all sorts of feelings that make us human. If emotions are denied, humans will be nothing more than poor excuses for machines. If that isn't nihilism, then what is? The philosopher says, I'm not denying that emotion exists. Everyone has emotions. That goes without saying. But if you are going to tell me that people are beings who can't resist emotion, I'd argue against that. Adlerian psychology is a form of thought, a philosophy that is diametrically opposed to nihilism. We are not controlled by emotion. In this sense, while it shows that people are not controlled by emotion, additionally, it shows that we are not controlled by the past, the youth. So people are not controlled either by emotion or the past. Philosopher. Okay. For example, suppose there is someone whose parents had divorced in his past. Isn't this something objective? The same as the well water that is always 18 degrees? But then, does that divorce feel cold or does it feel warm? So, this is a now thing, a subjective thing. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, it is the meaning that is attributed to it that determines the way someone's present will be. I'm reading this again. So he gave us an example last time about how the well water feels 18 degrees irrespective of temperature outside or inside. And so he says that the divorce feels cold, or how, what does the divorce feel? That does the divorce feel cold or does it feel warm? So this is a now thing, a subjective thing. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, it is the meaning that is attributed to it that determines the way someone's present will be. The question is what happened, but how was it resolved? Asks the youth. The philosopher says exactly. We cannot go back to the past in a time machine. We can't turn back the hands of time. If you end up staying in etiology, that is the cause, you will be bound by the past and never be able to find happiness. The youth says, that's right. We can't change the past, and that's precisely why life is so hard. The philosopher says, life isn't just hard. If the past determined everything and couldn't be changed, we who are living today would no longer be able to take effective steps forward in our lives. What would happen as a result? We would end up with a kind of nihilism and pessimism that loses hope in the world and gives up on life. The Freudian etiology that is typified by the trauma argument is determinism in a different form and is the road to nihilism. Are you going to accept values like that? The youth. I don't want to accept them, but the past is so powerful. The philosopher says, think of the possibilities. If one assumes that people are beings who can change, a set of values based on cause becomes untenable, and one is compelled to take the position of teleology, that is, the purpose, as a matter of course. So, if we assume that we are beings who are just in the past, then we cannot really live in the present. We cannot live our lives. So, if we focus on the purpose, the teleology, then there are many, many possibilities. So you are saying, the youth asks, so you are saying that one should always take the people, that people can change premise. The philosopher, of course. And please understand, it is Freudian etiology that denies our free will and treats humans like machines. The young man paused and glanced around the philosopher's study. Floor to ceiling, bookshelves filled the walls, and on a small wooden desk lay a foundation pen and what appeared to be a partially written manuscript. People are not driven by past causes, but move toward goals that they themselves set. That was the philosopher's claim. The teleology he espoused was an idea that overturned at the root the causality of respectable psychology, and the young man found that impossible to accept. So, from which standpoint should he start to argue it? The youth took a deep breath. The next chapter is Socrates and Adler. So the youth says, all right, let me tell you about another friend of mine, a man named Y. He is the kind of person who has always had a bright personality and talks easily to anyone. He's like a sunflower. Everyone loves him, and people smile whenever he's around. In contrast, I am someone who has never had an easy time socially and who's kind of warped in various ways. Now you are claiming that people can change through Adler's teleology. Philosopher, yes, you, I, and everyone can change. Youth, then do you think I could become someone like Y? From the bottom of my heart, I really wish I could be like him. The philosopher says, at this point, I have to say that's totally out of question. The youth, now you're showing your true colors. So you're going to retract your theory. Philosopher, no, I'm not. Unfortunately, you have almost no understanding of Adlerian psychology yet. The first step to change is knowing. I love that sentence. The first step to change is knowing. Youth. So, if I can understand just something about Adlerian psychology, can I become a person like Y? The philosopher. Why are you rushing for answers? You should arrive at answers on your own and not rely upon what you get from someone else. Answers from others are nothing more than stopgap measures. They are of no value. Take Socrates, who left not one book actually written by himself. He spent his days having public debates with the citizens of Athens, especially the young, and it was his disciple Plato who put his philosophy into writing for future generations. Adler too showed little interest in literary activities, preferring to engage in personal dialogue at cafes in Vienna and hold small discussion groups. He was definitely not an armchair intellectual. Youth. So Socrates and Adler both conveyed their ideas by dialogue. Philosopher. That's right. All your doubts will be dispelled through this dialogue, and you will begin to change, not by my words, but by your own doing. I do not want to take away that valuable process of arriving at answers through dialogue. I think this is so beautiful. Youth. So, are we going to try and reenact the kind of dialogue that Socrates and Adler carried out in this little study? Philosopher. Isn't that good enough for you? Youth. That's what I'm hoping to find out. So, let's take it as far as we can until either you retract your theory or I bow before you. Great. So, with this, let's take some time in meditation. And the next chapter is again an interesting one. The title is "Are You Okay Just as You Are?" So, I think today we read about um, initially before this chapter how we cannot be controlled by our past, and we read about how Socrates and Adler were both people who uh, philosophers who believed in dialogue rather than theory, because dialogue always even in as a homeopath, even in uh, if in our daily lives we are naturally people who like to talk and exchange, and dialogue has a certain energy. And I think even having groups has a certain energy, and I think dialogues bring more authenticity. So great, I love this, and let's meditate for some time. So close your eyes, bring yourself in a graceful posture, roll your shoulders back, bring your attention to your breath. Let the imaginary past be and leave your worry for the imaginary future, and just bring yourself in the now. Welcome back. Take your own time. And if you feel like you can rub your palms, bring them over your eyes, and gently open your eyes. Thank you for joining. And like I always say, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. And love to see you next time. Bye bye. Lots of love. Please comment and write what you feel like and what your thoughts are about this reading. Bye bye.